this time. Hey, good folks. Dr. Charlie here. Today, my topic is both and. Both and is a very, very useful paradigm. For many of us, for much of our lives, we're taught either or. There's a very strong binary aspect to that. It must be this or it must be that, and never the two shall meet. Both and is a concept that it is different from yes and. Yes and is the affirmation, and there's a whole video on that separately. Both and is, to me, a much larger paradigm where instead of either or, I do recognize the irony that it's that saying instead of, I'm making a binary. Just bear with me on this one. Instead of either or, instead of things having to be kind of the absolute one or the absolute other, both and allows for paradox. Both and allows for the space that two or more seemingly paradoxical things can exist together. In a way that just is, in a way that doesn't necessarily make one better than the other, or one more powerful or higher, or whatever terminology you may use. They can both be equal. They can both be fully equal and be paradoxical and coexist simultaneously within the same place, space, person, head, ideas, thought line. It really opened up an understanding for me within myself that we can hold paradox, that we're very capable of holding paradox. One of the ways that this showed up for me, or has shown up for me, is kind of in self-work. And when doing the work with yourself, what we see, what is popularized is sort of the light and the fluffy. And for me, this work has really been deep, ugly, messy, and heavy. So in that deep, ugly, messy, heavy, and the light and fluffy, both can exist, and they don't have to be counter to each other. They don't have to be contra against one another. So both and, I learned about it within the paradigm of women's spirituality, because women hold a lot of paradoxes within ourselves, within our actual physical bodies, also within kind of the way that we do things and the way we may understand the world. Now, I say women, that's a very, very broad generalization. It's, of course, not going to be all women. And you can, as always with my videos, you can take what works for you and leave the rest. Both and really allowed me to see the interlocking pieces of things as well. It allows for, to me, sufficient complexity where either or does not. Either or says this is really cut and dry and really kind of simple and boxy. And most things in life really aren't that simple and boxy. And so both and allows for the complexity to interweave within itself and each other and other things. And it's not just for two things, it can be for a lot of things. You can, if you hate broccoli but love broccoli pizza, that's sort of a both and. It also gives you permission to not have to explain yourself, to not have to say, well, this is my reason why I did this thing, when it can exist. It can coexist with the other things that you may or may not be doing. So both and has been a really useful paradigm for me, and let me know if it is a useful paradigm for you as well. Take great care. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye now.